If you're an introvert, does that mean that you never socialise or don't have an opinion? Or are only extroverts leaders? One of the most misunderstood elements of personality profiles are the psychological preferences that they're based on. Now, if you're familiar with personality profiles, you've probably heard terms like introvert and extrovert, thinking or feeling, and intuition and sensing. But what does that mean in relation to your actual personality? Understanding the preferences can give you a really good insight into how you instinctively respond to situations, how you can better handle challenges, and how you can recharge your batteries. So in this video, I'm going to explain some of the different preferences that exist in personality profiles and exactly what they mean. Ahoy, Peter here from Brighter Training, and welcome to our third video on the Insights Discovery Model. Now, whether you're new to our channel or an existing and most appreciated follower, welcome. You can use the timestamps in the description below if you need to come back and review a specific section of the video. And of course, if you find these videos useful, please remember to hit like and subscribe, and any comments of support are always appreciated. So many personality profiles are based on the work of Carl Jung, who proposed a series of psychological preferences. Now, these are a spectrum of behaviours that we all fall within, which explains things like how we make decisions, how we take in information, and how we react to events. The common psychological preferences that exist in personality profiles include introversion and extroversion, thinking and feeling, and sensation and intuition. So to understand what we mean by preference, try folding your arms. It's pretty easy, right? Feels comfortable. Now unfold them and refold them in the opposite way to which you just did, with the other arm on top. It's probably a little harder, perhaps you have to concentrate a bit more, and it probably just doesn't feel right. So you can still do it, but you've got a preferred way of folding your arms, and that's what it's like when it comes to psychological preferences. It isn't to say that we don't have or we can't use all the different colour energies or step outside our comfort zone and use opposite behaviours. Preferences are just that, it's a comfortable resting point for our behaviours. So let's have a look at the different preferences in a little more detail. So first of all, there's introversion and extroversion, and that's the way that we react to outer and inner experiences and where we receive our energy. Now, this one is something that people often get wrong. An introvert isn't the wallflower who doesn't speak to anyone, and an extrovert isn't the loud center of attention person. Think of it more in terms of expression and recharging. So an extrovert will tend to express their thoughts externally to other people, whereas an introvert will tend to process things internally. And an extrovert will also tend to seek company in order to recharge. Maybe after a hard day at work, they'll catch up with friends for a drink, whereas an introvert may need some me time, where they can maybe curl up, read a book, and just unwind in peace. So it's just about energy. So then we have thinking and feeling. And this is how we make decisions. So on this spectrum, it really asks, do you tend to make logical, practical decisions based on data, or do you tend to go with your gut or consider other people's feelings? So importantly, if you see this in a profile, thinking doesn't mean you don't have emotions, and having a preference for feeling doesn't mean that you don't plan or you don't think. Again, this is another common mistake teams make when they're working with profiles. Because someone or even a whole team may have a preference for thinking, it doesn't mean that you can ignore the connection and the cultural needs of the group. And finally, there's sensation and intuition, which is how we take in and process information. And an easy way to remember what this one is when you take information in, do you tend to favour the data you receive via the five senses, hence sensing, or do you tend to interpret the data around you and give it meaning? So all of these traits exist in a spectrum or a continuum, and you are of course capable of moving along each one as the situation demands. It's just handy to understand your preference though, since it helps you understand your response to different people and events, and if you're aware, you can then choose your response, which is a tremendously powerful skill. So have a look at these scales for introversion versus extroversion, and you can see that you may sit on different parts of the scale in different areas. This is so that you can start to understand that it's not an either-or situation. You're not only introverted or only extroverted. You'll be on different places on the continuum for different elements of extroversion and introversion. And the same for thinking and feeling. You can see here that there's a number of different elements that make up each category, and once again, you can move along each continuum in different situations or even by conscious choice. All of these preferences are taken into account and compiled to create your personality profile, since these preferences will indicate your likely response to situations. When it comes to your profile, these two scales combine to form the basic characteristics of the insight color energies. Extroverts will tend to have a preference for red and yellow energy, while introverts tend to favour the blue and green. Now, when it comes to decision making, blue and red tend to favour the thinking preferences, whereas green and yellow operate more on feelings. And to understand the perceiving scales here, again, there are many factors, but how you take information in will tend to either be practical and metric based or intuitive and interpreted. I'll show you what I mean. Have a look at this picture and tell me what you see. Now, some people may focus on the details, the blue sky, the person in blue jeans, the blue shoes, a park, trees. These are examples of people who tend to prefer sensing, which is focusing on the facts that they can see. Now, others will be more conceptual, taking time out, relaxing, family time, connecting to nature. I even had someone once suggest that the parachute didn't open. So these are examples of people who prefer to use intuition. That's interpreting the world around them and giving it meaning. And once again, sensing and intuition are made up of a series of continuums, and will sit on different parts of the spectrum when it comes to how we process information, just like we do with how we express ourselves and how we make decisions. So why does it matter? Understanding your own preferences will help you to ensure that you get what you need in any given situation. It can also help you to explain your needs to other people, and it helps you to be aware of how you may instinctively respond to a situation, and in knowing that, you can choose to moderate your response and look at things differently. Finally, and this is a massive benefit, it helps you become aware of other people's behaviours and responses and preferences, and you can tailor your response to suit them. So if you identify that someone has a preference for sensing, you can provide them with facts and figures instead of stories and metaphors. Now, if you know someone's more introverted, you can encourage them to self-reflect without putting them on the spot in public, for example. So hopefully that helps you understand some of the elements present in personality profiles, and also gives you some food for thought for your own preferences and how it shapes your personality and your responses. Now, if you'd like to explore this in more detail or arrange an insights profile and workshop for your team, then remember to reach out to us via our website. Our details can be found in the description below. Otherwise, thanks again for watching and have an amazing day.